The power of controlling emotions, seeking wisdom. Once upon a time, a man struggled with his emotions. He found himself frequently overwhelmed by anger, frustration, and resentment, which led to problems in his relationships and overall well-being. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't seem to control his reactions. Desperate for guidance, he decided to seek wisdom from Gautama Buddha, who was known for his deep understanding of human emotions and inner peace. When the man finally met Buddha, he bowed and said, "Master, I suffer from uncontrollable emotions. Small things irritate me and I react impulsively. This has caused me pain and regret. Please, show me how to master my emotions." Buddha smiled gently and said, "Sit down, my child. Let me share a story with you." The story of two kings. Long ago, there was a powerful king who ruled a prosperous kingdom. One day, he heard of another king from a neighboring land who was famous for his wisdom and serenity. Curious, he decided to visit this wise ruler, hoping to learn something valuable. Upon his arrival, the wise king welcomed him warmly and organized a grand feast in his honor. The tables were filled with the finest dishes, and the air was filled with the aroma of exotic spices. The visiting king felt honored and excited to enjoy the delicacies before him. However, as he lifted his spoon to take his first sip of soup, he noticed something disturbing. A small fly had landed in his bowl. His face twisted in disgust, and he immediately called for his servants. "This is unacceptable," he thundered. "How dare you serve me a dish with a fly in it? Bring me a fresh bowl immediately." His outburst caught the attention of the wise king, who sat calmly and observed the situation. With a serene expression, the wise king spoke. "Your Majesty, why are you so troubled? It is just a small fly." The visiting king, still fuming, replied, "Even a small fly can ruin my mood. I cannot tolerate such imperfections." The wise king smiled knowingly and said, "Your Majesty, the fly did not ruin your mood. Your reaction did. The power to control your emotions is within you. If you allow such trivial things to disturb your peace, you will forever be at the mercy of external circumstances." The visiting king sat in silence, contemplating these words. As he returned to his kingdom, he decided to apply what he had learned. He made a conscious effort to control his emotions instead of letting them control him. Over time, he became more composed and made better decisions. His kingdom flourished, and he found himself living a happier, more peaceful life. Michael's journey. After hearing the story, the man who had sought Buddha's wisdom was deeply moved. He reflected on his own life and realized how often he had let small inconveniences ruin his mood. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, there was a young man named Michael. He was known for his impulsive reactions and quick temper. He would get angry over the smallest issues, and his words would often hurt those around him. His relationships suffered, and he felt trapped in a cycle of anger and regret. One day, after a heated argument with his best friend, Michael realized he needed to change. The pain of losing friendships due to his anger was unbearable. He decided to take control of his emotions before they controlled him completely. Michael started practicing mindfulness and meditation. He learned to observe his emotions instead of acting on them immediately. Whenever he felt anger rising, he would take a deep breath and ask himself, "Is this reaction necessary? Will it help the situation?" At first, controlling his emotions was difficult. He still felt anger and frustration, but instead of reacting impulsively, he began to pause. He discovered that when he responded instead of reacting, situations turned out much better. With time and practice, Michael became more patient. He noticed a significant improvement in his relationships. He was no longer pushing people away with harsh words. Instead, he communicated with understanding and kindness. The ultimate test one day, Michael's patience was tested in a way he never expected. He was at work when a colleague falsely accused him of making a mistake. In the past, he would have shouted in anger and defended himself aggressively. But this time, he remembered the lessons he had learned. He took a deep breath, remained calm, and responded rationally. Instead of escalating the situation, he explained his side respectfully. Surprisingly, his composed reaction made the accuser realize his mistake. Afterward, a co-worker approached Michael and said, "I admire how you handled that situation. You always seem so calm and in control." Michael smiled and replied, "It's not that I never feel anger or frustration. I have just learned not to let them control me." Over time, Michael became known for his wisdom and emotional stability. Friends sought his advice, and he became a pillar of support for those around him. He realized that mastering emotions was not about suppressing them, but about managing them wisely. The power of not reacting, the story of the two kings. And Michael teaches us an invaluable lesson. We may not control what happens to us, but we can always control how we react. When we let emotions dictate our actions, we risk damaging our relationships and making poor decisions. But when we learn to pause, breathe, and choose our responses wisely, we unlock a profound strength within us. Controlling emotions doesn't mean ignoring them. It means acknowledging them without letting them take over. Anger is like fire. If left unchecked, it can destroy everything. Patience is like water. It cools and soothes the heat of anger. Wisdom is the key. It allows us to choose between reaction and response. Final words of wisdom. Buddha once said, 1. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. 2. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it outside. 3. What you think, you become. If we want a life filled with peace and happiness, we must practice letting go of unnecessary anger. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, remember, take a deep breath. Pause before reacting. Respond with wisdom, not impulse. Conclusion. The path to mastering emotions is not easy, but it is worth it. Imagine a life where small inconveniences no longer ruin your day. A life where you respond to challenges with grace, maintain healthy relationships, and make clear-headed decisions. This power is within you. All you need to do is practice. So the next time you face frustration, ask yourself, will my reaction make things better or worse? Choose wisely, master your emotions, and you will master your life.